Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to Positive Talk. It's a brand new year. It's time. It's 25, and we're really excited that everybody's here. We're going to be here for another year on, oh gosh, I don't even know. I'm going to have John Verico is my co-host today, and he's going to be with me almost all the time now. He just told me that before we got started, so I have to absorb that, but that's great. And John, tell everybody why we're excited about 2025.
Oh, well, we're excited about 2025 because we are going to thrive in 25. Our show is growing in popularity. We've got about 1.7 million listeners right now. We're getting picked up on more platforms as we speak, and there's going to be some significant growth. As you know, we're on the Brushwood Media Network, and Brushwood Media Network is going to be partnering with, ready for this, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, a whole bunch of other platforms like that, and we're going to have an exponential growth in our reach and the people that we can reach with our positive messages.
And we get to feature some of the best people on the planet, and two of them are with us right today. Would you like to introduce them, John, or shall I take the opportunity?
The Passionistas are just, they're so fascinating, and they're among our favorite guests. I shouldn't say that because that sounds like we're poo-pooing on the rest of the guests, but we love Amy and Nancy, and thank you so much for joining us again. Amy and Nancy, the Passionistas Project. Hi there.
Hi, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for having us.
I just can't imagine poo-pooing on any of our guests. That would just be rude. That would not be nice.
We do not approve of poo-pooing.
No.
But I do want to mention, because Nancy and Amy have been with us and on the show dating back to early last year, I do believe.
Oh yeah.
And they have a project called the Passionistas Project. I said it right. I'm so proud. And they do some incredible work with a lot of women who are either disadvantaged or single owner operator or entrepreneurs that are interested in making the world a better place. And they've actually got something called the Sisterhood. And we're going to talk about all of that today. And John, did you know that they used to do interviews on the red carpet and in Hollywood prior to the Oscars and
the red carpet, not just a red carpet.
No, the
red
group
carpet.
of red carpets and stuff. And they actually interviewed some. We spent a whole show, and you can go back in the archives, because we spent a whole show talking about all the people that they've interviewed and what they're really like in person, and what's it like to be on the red carpet and to have all these stunningly beautiful human beings that are wearing makeup until you take the makeup off, and then it's a whole different thing. But we won't talk about that. Except for Danny DeVito. He doesn't need makeup to look the way he is.
Everybody needs a little powder.
Got to take a little of that shine off the edge there.
That's right.
So we've been featuring you guys with some of your the people that you work with and their businesses and stuff. But since this is a brand new year and we wanted to kind of reset and talk to you about how you began the Passionistas. John, help.
Passionistas Project. You got it right before, Kevin.
I know, but
We're like Durwood.
You psyched yourself out.
Let's call it Durwood.
And but how did all this begin for you guys?
Well, like you said, we used to, and still do actually, celebrity interviews. Amy and I were both in the world of entertainment for a long time. Amy was the vice president of post-production visual effects at Warner Brothers, and I worked at an ad agency that did the Academy Award campaigns for Miramax. And we both left our jobs at the same time and started off on this long and winding path together, ended up in the world of celebrity interviewing, which we love and was very exciting. The red carpet that we used to do was the Emmys red carpet. So we did all the TV people, which was a lot of fun. And especially doing it together, having, experienced watching
All the
television
soap opera
together
stars
for
and
many years. No, it was primetime Emmys, so it was,
okay.
yeah.
So no
yeah.
Susan Lucci.
Yeah. No, Susan Lucci. I don't think we've ever interviewed Susan Lucci.
No,
Yeah.
no. It was at the height of like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones and
Yeah.
all those good shows.
Yeah.
Glee.
And so we were in this world of doing interviewing and realized that we wanted to be doing something a little more impactful. And so it was around the era of the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement, and the 2016 presidential election, when our country started to get more and more divided. And we decided that we should use our interviewing skills to shine a light on women. So the Passionistas Project started as a podcast, and we still do the podcast every week. We interview a woman who's following her passions to inspire another woman to do the same thing. And we are up to episode, I don't know, close to 200 now. We used to only do it every other week. So beginning of last year, we started doing it every week. And then over time, that has grown, and we've done a subscription box with products from women-owned businesses. We've done a women's equality event, which we're bringing back this year. And last March of 2024, we launched the Sisterhood that Kevin referenced, which is an online community where women can come be their authentic selves and not feel like they're in a safe space where they can be themselves and meet other like-minded women and just take part in our community and all the things we have to offer, like courses and classes and workshops and networking events and things like that. So that's the long and winding road of our journey.
Well, by the way, did you ever meet Jennifer Aniston?
No, we interviewed Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
We interviewed Matt LeBlanc,
Yeah.
and we interviewed Matthew Perry on the phone once.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, since he's passed now,
Mhm.
was he as funny in real life as he was on the show?
It was like a group. We used to do a lot of these blogger calls, so it would be like 20 bloggers on one call, and then you could like say you wanted to ask a question, and everybody would get to ask a question and a follow-up. And he had just put out that book, I think was why he was doing it. And he might have, it might have been when The Odd Couple was on.
Mm.
He did that Odd Couple reboot, and I kind of thought he would be like aloof and not that nice or engaging. Just I don't know why. I think because he was such a huge TV star, like I just didn't know what to expect. And he was really nice. He was really humble. I don't remember him being particularly funny, but I just remember him being really like humble and pleasant. And it was he was really kind to everybody. And I was really glad we got to do it. And when I was at Warner Brothers, I went to one taping of Friends, and it was really fun. And there was a scene, I have never seen the episode since, but there was a scene in Central Perk that was Matt LeBlanc and Matthew Perry doing like physical comedy, and they were so funny, and they just did take after take, and it was a riot. So
They were trying to sit in the same chair, right? and one would jump in and I think I remember the bloopers of that.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. They just like were really enjoying each other, and so glad I got to do that.
Yeah, it's great when you have a vision of what a celebrity is like, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes you assume they're really nice, or you hope they are, and they turn out not to be. And other times you assume they're going to be a jerk, and they turn out to be really, really nice. And it's amazing how they surprise you that way. When I found usually it's the bit actors who've got the biggest egos.
Just like it's the young directors who are harder to deal with than the seasoned pro directors who
Yeah, because they
appreciate.
figure they've already proven themselves, so they don't
Yeah,
have to. They don't have to struggle anymore.
Yeah, and they don't have to act like they know everything because they're intimidated by everybody else. It's like, I'm Ridley Scott. I know what I'm doing. I would like to hear your opinion on how to do this. Okay, great. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's great, and they get to different stages of their life too, and it's always amazing. I had the wonderful fortune to get to meet and to know, become friends with Peter Tork from the Monkees.
Yeah.
And we used to go and work with his blues band and take his blues band on the road. And I remember one night after the show, and before we would start the autograph lines, Peter just needed to take a break and step outside and get some fresh air. And he was standing there, just leaning against the car and relaxing. And we were standing there with him. And this guy walks up and he says, excuse me. And Peter's like, oh, look, really, I will sign anything you want me to sign, but just give me a few minutes, just get some fresh air, and then I'll be inside and we'll take care of we'll do the line. And the guy looked at him and he says, look, dude, I don't know who you are, but you're leaning on my car.
I wanted to ask you, did you ever meet Tom Hanks?
I didn't meet him, but I worked in early development on Polar Express. So I was there one day when they were testing out the motion capture suit, where he was in the black suit with all the balls on it, and that's how they ate the character. So I saw him do that. But I didn't meet him that day. I'm trying to think if I. That's the one. I think that's it. Oh, and then I worked on You've Got Mail, but I didn't meet him. But I had friends who met him on that because they shot in New York, not in LA. And I remember someone telling me he was eating milk duds at the audience recruits. That was the big report back.
Just like real people. Just like real people. He eats milk duds, just like real people.
Well, and speaking of directors, Clint Eastwood and Tom Hanks does a really good impression of Clint Eastwood. And it's like, because he was saying, everybody's like, action, we're going to have action. Everybody be quiet. We're all going to have action and stuff. And Clint Eastwood was the guy that would say, okay, go ahead. and that's how he was so confident in what he was doing. And it's like, all right, go ahead.
Make your move.
Warner Brothers made all of Clint's movies while I was there, and I never met him. We didn't work on him. He did his thing. Everybody let him do his thing. He wrapped early every day. He wrapped production early, prior to, like, if a shoot was scheduled for 30 days, he'd wrap in 28, and he'd make his movie and everybody would go see it. He was Clint Eastwood and Stanley Kubrick were the only two people that had that privilege of just doing their thing. It was like, he's got it under control. He'll let him do it.
And I just got to ask you too, because so few of us have had the opportunity to like walk onto Warner Brothers, the set, and to see all of those buildings that I saw that. I remember that in all of that. What's it like when you're actually working there?
It's amazing. It's magical. If you take the day-to-day stress and aggravation of making a movie, which is a very intense process because it's very high pressure. It's a lot of money, very high stakes. And when I was at Warner Brothers, it was the biggest studio in the world. It was kind of the heyday, modern heyday of Warner Brothers. So there's that. And when you're working on one movie, that's stressful. When you're working on 40 at a time, it's like incredible. But it's awesome. There is nothing like walking onto the set of a Batman movie, or even just walking on the back lot when everybody else has gone home and it's quiet and the buildings are all there. You're walking through the Gilmore Girls back lot and, pretending that you're one of the greatest days I ever had was when I worked at Universal. It was early in my time in Hollywood, and I worked on Matlock, the original Matlock. And I purposefully went in on a Sunday when I knew no one would be there. And I just walked the entire lot by myself. And, through the Back to the Future, Town Square, and up by the Jaws,
just taking it all in and appreciating it and feeling it. And
yeah, and just like being grateful to be there. Yeah, it's magical. The coolest thing I ever saw, I was having a really stressed out day one day. We had started an animation, a visual effects department at Warner Brothers where we were doing the actual work. And it was really stressful. And my boss called me and he was like, "You got to come over to the lot right now." And I was like, "I can't. We have all these things going on." He's like, "Come to the lot." And we were working on a movie called A Little Princess that was Alfonso Cuarón's first US movie. Beautiful kids movie. And my boss said, "Just come. There's a thing on the Warner Brothers lot called The Lagoon. And it's where the Waltons house, it's between the Waltons house and the Wild West town. And there's this little tank, like little indent, like cement lake. And they fill it up every once in a while." And I got there and they were shooting this scene it looked like fireflies. They had strung up lights so it looked like fireflies. And there was a baby elephant, a live baby elephant in the middle of this pond that was now full of water. And all of these like dancers, like just kind of extras. And it was the most magical thing I've ever seen in my life. And I got there and he was like, "Whenever you're stressed out, just remember, this is what we're doing for a living." And it was like, okay.
That's very cool.
That's like one of my favorite days ever on the set.
And by the way, we're talking with Amy and Nancy Harrington of the Passionistas Project. And we need to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to delve deeply into, because you were in Hollywood, you did all that stuff, but then you wanted to do something meaningful for a lot of people who never, ever will have the notoriety of the people you met in Hollywood. But they're important to all of us. John Vericode's with me. My name is Kevin McDonald, and we'll be right back. Are you looking for a powerful way to grow your brand while making a real difference? Well, Positive Talk is the perfect platform to align your message with inspiration, hope, and meaningful conversations. By sponsoring Positive Talk, your brand will reach an engaged audience that values positivity and connection. People who want to support companies that share their values. Take this opportunity to showcase your business in a space that uplifts, inspires, and creates lasting impact. Don't wait. Email me, kevin@kmmedia.pro today to learn how you can partner with us and spread positivity while growing your brand. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Hey, that was me on that commercial. Hey, John, I'm famous. What do you think?
Oh, you know what, Kevin? You're not as famous as the people that Amy and Nancy have met, but
I know
you are 10 times as important.
And we like
Even more important than you and I are Amy and Nancy Harrington and the people that they work with and bring to light.
Well, we're all important, but Kevin's doing good work. Kevin and John, you're both doing good work too. But the women that we have in the Passionistas sisterhood are the coolest women on the planet, I will say.
Ladies, I do another show. It's called Unscripted Politics.
Mhm.
And I am amazed at the number of people that do not or discount the glass ceilings and the problems and the things that women have to go through to be considered equal and to get even to get paid the same. And that's why the work that you're doing is so important, to highlight the fact that on one of the shows that we did, we were talking about handicapped people that were getting paid 25 cents an hour and stuff like that. That needs to get out into the world, don't you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you know that only 2% of all venture capital money goes to women? Yeah, the 98% goes to men.
2%?
2% of all venture capital money.
Why do you think it's that high? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I want to know who these men are that are getting that other.
I will say that is high for women of color.
Yes, women of color.
Black women and Latino women and Asian women get even less than 2%. So
Yeah.
it is high in that, in perspective.
Oh, that in itself is so sad.
Yeah.
And that's why the work
Why
that you're
is
doing
that?
is so important.
In this day and age, why is it still like that?
Because venture capital firms are, and this is not, I want to say to all the listeners and to you too, we love men, we love white men, we love, we are not male bashing people, but factually speaking, the majority of venture capital firms are run by white men and not by women or people of color. And so they get less funding because they're not in the situations where they're playing golf and hanging out and making friends and having the access. So there are women like Catherine Gray, who has a company, who has an organization called She Angels and a foundation called She Angels Foundation. And she's one of a growing group of women who are helping women get venture capital money from female-owned VC firms, and also educating women about investing their money as VC funders or angel investors in female-owned businesses, so that we start. And part of the reason Nancy and I have a directory of women-owned businesses in our sisterhood, because it's about creating this ecosystem of women investing in each other and buying from each other and supporting each other financially. But it's like most things, it's about access and relationships, and women tend not to have those inroads that that men have.
This isn't a political show, and so we don't want to talk politics here, but I would like to make one observation. There's a particular national political party that if you line them all up and take a group picture, they're all a bunch of white men over 60.
You've noticed that, have you?
Right.
That's an astute observation, Kevin.
And I'd also like to point out that since November, let's just say, hate speech against women on the internet, within the second week of November, hate speech against women rose on social media 4,800%. And we personally know at least one woman who was at a gas station and a total stranger walked up behind her and said, "Your body, my choice." So it's a time where women really need to support each other, and we need more support from men, because it is proven facts that it's just a difficult time for women right now. So that's part of the reason we do what we do.
Your
body, my choice.
My choice.
Wow.
That should have been followed by a brisk slap.
That should have been followed by a branding iron.
It should be followed by a phone call to the authorities, is what it should be followed.
You have to pick up the body, because I'm not a violent guy, but that person needed his teeth knocked out.
Right,
there's no room for that kind of attitude. and
Mhm.
in our society, in the world at all.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse. I am embarrassed and disappointed in the members of my gender
Mhm.
who act that way.
But there's so many great guys like you guys who don't, and that's why we're lucky to have you as our ally.
I'm only ashamed of those, not
Yeah,
us.
no, I'm just saying, like,
We're
we're lucky
cool.
that there are allies. There are great allies like you guys who help us promote what we're doing and who support us. And, we focus on that because, as a woman, you can't turn around and punch the guy. You're going to be out muscled or, you don't know what he's packing or, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's
Yeah,
that whole level of it where we can't necessarily fight back in the way other people can. So.
Well, most of the time, those guys aren't packing much, if you know what I mean. And anyway, but John,
nice car.
I wanted to ask you, John.
Compensation vehicle. Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you, being a man, being a guy, have you ever gone into a parking lot, drove into a parking lot, and that you were going to be gone for a period of time and it was going to be dark when you came back? Have you ever looked to make sure that you were parked under a street light? Have you ever had your keys out of your hand on your way back to the car to protect yourself so that you can get into the car quickly and be on your way? I've never thought about that in my entire life, but every woman on the planet at one point or another has to deal with that. Or I've never been whistled at, darn the luck. I wish somebody would whistle at me from time to time, but
I would like a woman to come over and say, "Your body, my choice." That would be interesting. but nobody wants to choose my body, so but I
have meaning the other way around, right?
So we don't even know. Being a typical guy, you have no idea what women as a species in large have to put up with that we don't even consider. That's such a shame that we don't consider that.
Well, you know what it is too is, some of us are fortunate enough to have either been in a more aware part of society or been in a mixed workforce that we did not see these differences or didn't think that they still existed in people's minds. I mean, I thought we left a lot of this garbage behind. The racism, the sexism, all of those kinds of things. I thought we left those behind in the 60s. And, I've been aware throughout my life, that I see evidence of it still existing. I mean, I was stationed for a brief period of time in Mobile, Alabama, and racism and sexism was extremely rampant there. And I just, said, well, this is obviously this particular group of people is just very behind in their thought, but the rest of us are much more mature in this. And I've been proven wrong time and time again.
Yeah.
And so the sisterhood is a very important aspect of what you do. Let's talk about that just a little bit.
Excellent. Yeah, it's an amazing place. Somebody just posted over our vacation about, they released a book and they posted about it on Facebook, and then they just got like comment after comment after comment criticizing and negating her hard work, and she came back to the sisterhood and she's like, this is why I'm here, because I post about something and I get love and support and encouragement, and you don't get that anymore on social media and places like that. So, and that's really what this is all about. This is about women being able to be their authentic selves and share their real stories and not be criticized and not feel safe. It's just a safe space for everyone.
Yeah. And a couple things. It's not just a business networking group. It's based on 3 pillars, which are business networking, personal growth, and social impact, because we have found that every woman in our community asks what they can do for someone else before they say what they need for themselves, which is very rare in these online communities. And so social impact is a huge part of just the life force of the people that are part of our group. And like Kevin mentioned, we really welcome women and non-binary people from marginalized communities, because they especially always tell us people like to talk for them and about them, but they don't get to speak for themselves. And so I was at a dinner last night with some really, really nice people, and one of them was talking about how they know somebody who's a screenwriter, and how they're a white person and they wrote a screenplay about a Black character, and the studio said, "This is great. We need to make sure there's like a Black director attached to this." And they were like, "I don't understand that." And it's like, well, besides the fact that you might want to have the perspective of someone who's walked in that life, that those footsteps for their whole life, that might bring a perspective that would make your project better. It's also still like an industry where Black directors of both genders or all genders don't get the opportunities. So why wouldn't that be a good thing to you? So we really want to make sure that LGBTQ people, Black women, AAPI, especially women with disabilities who really don't get the support they need, that all of these people feel like and know that there's this place that they can come and be heard and seen, and get the support they need. And like Nancy said, that might just be as simple as like, "Hey, this is great, congratulations." Because you'd be amazed how many people don't hear that often enough, So we really try and make it a place where people get the love and attention that they don't get just like you do from your sister, We really base it on the principles of sisterhood. So
Congratulations, John. We need to take a break. Would you like to take us there?
We do. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio with Kevin McDonald. I'm John Verico, and our special guests are the Passionistas, Amy and Nancy Harrington. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
The Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. John Verico is right there, and I almost didn't play that commercial because, but what do you do?
I like that commercial. It's good.
it's good.
Well, and John and I, we were brought up in a certain way, and we never would. If we text somebody and they responded, you'd be like, "Who are you, and why are you calling me?" And that's
how did you get my number?
Yeah, exactly. and please lose my number and never call it again. But that's what we get to deal with. And in any event, you guys have got a lot of.
It's not easy being a man.
It's not easy being it. We know it's been tough for you guys.
Well, it's not easy being a human. And
that's really what it comes down to.
We have our own sense of issues that we have to deal with, but we can make it all work, and that's why the work that you guys do is so important to so many people. And you've got a bunch of stuff that's going to be coming up this year that you wanted to talk about, and you're both nodding enthusiastically. So tell us what's coming up this year for you guys.
Well, the first big thing we have coming up is that last fall we held our very first storyteller workshop. And we have a group of 16 women who have written their stories. And we are putting together an anthology book containing these stories. And it's called Awakening Your Power. And it's about women stepping into their power. And we have beautiful stories in there, everywhere from a woman who jumped out of a airplane to a woman who escaped a narcissistic, abusive marriage, to someone who was in the military and stood up to her superior. And they're just beautiful, powerful stories. So that's going to be coming out March 31st, which will also coincide with our bringing back our annual Women's Equity Summit. So all of the women in the book and some other women as well will be gathered together and tell their stories and have roundtable discussions about some of the topics in the book. And we'll also have our Passionistas Persist awards ceremony that night. So we're really excited about that. Today's our first day back, so we have January, February, March to put all that together and have ready.
What are we doing here?
No easy task to put something together like that. How many people does your summit attract? I mean, how large of an event are we looking at here? Just out of curiosity.
Let's see. The last time we did it, we had several hundred people.
And then a lot more watching the replays.
Yeah, I was going to say who watch it live, and then many, many more after who watch the replays. So we haven't done it since 2022 because I was sick in 2023 and it put us back a year. So we didn't do it last year either. So now we're bringing it back and we're really excited about that.
Is it a virtual summit?
It's a virtual summit. Yeah.
Yeah, the sisterhood is global. We have women.
I was wondering how you were, if you were going to do, because you said the award ceremony, I immediately pictured, it's going to be an in-person gathering kind of a thing.
No, the award ceremony, what we've done in the past is we actually do the interviews in advance. So we've given awards to Dr. Jane Goodall and Margaret Cho, Bellamy Young from Scandal, and then a lot of women from our community, Carolyn Koppel, who's been on the show, and Kim Roxy, who's been on your show. So we do interviews in advance with everybody that gets an award, and then we run the ceremony as a 1 hour, 1.5 hour event virtually, because we've had people watch the summits from Africa. We've had participants from North Macedonia. The only doula in Northern Macedonia spoke at one of our summits. Wow. So we have women from all over the world who are watching and participating. So we've talked about doing it in person, but it doesn't make sense. We want everybody to be able to be a part of it. So
absolutely.
Isn't it cool that you had the opportunity? Tell us a story about Jane Goodall.
Oh, it was truly the most magnificent half hour in our lifetimes. She has been a hero of ours since we were young girls and saw her in National Geographic magazine, and she was every bit as kind and warm and thoughtful and beautiful as you would expect. And she did not disappoint. It was during COVID, and she was in her childhood home. And she was talking about looking out the window and pointing at the tree that she used to climb as a young girl and read her Tarzan book and dream about going to the jungles and living with animals. And there's a thing called Jane Goodall effect, which we both experienced, which is most people say when they meet her, they just break into tears. Because
there's a segment of our audience, I'm sad to say, because we were talking about celebrities, and we have a 25-year-old intern, and we said, "You've heard of Burt Reynolds, right?" And she said, was he a singer? So there are lots of people that have no earthly idea who Jane Goodall is. Could you kind of give us a bio of her?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's the last great living soul on the planet. There's everybody you mentioned, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh, well, she didn't like this group of people and she stayed too long in the Supreme Court. And, Mother Teresa. Oh, there are people that think da, da, da. Jane Goodall, you say the name Jane Goodall, and there isn't a person on the planet that has anything bad to say about Jane Goodall. But the short bio is when she was a young woman from England, she dreamed of working with chimpanzees. She worked as a waitress, saved her money, went to Africa, and happened to be introduced to this man named Leakey, who was conducting studies of chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas. And he hired her to go into the wilds of Africa and set up camp. She was so young and so out of place that they made her bring a chaperone. So her mother went with her and they lived in a tent in Africa and she studied the chimpanzees. And at that point, only men had studied primates and they numbered them, like chimpanzee number 3 did this behavior. And she went out and she named each one. David Graybeard was her closest chimp companion. And she looked at their personalities and started to realize that chimps had personalities and relationships like human beings. And she was the first person to discover that they used tools, that they would put a twig into a plant and pull out ants and eat them. So they used it as like a utensil, and that they had these characteristics that most people didn't think were worth paying attention to because they were being very scientific and she was being emotional. And so she completely changed the way people study animals. And then over the course of the years, she's become not only focused on animals, but she's also a huge environmentalist. She's probably the biggest environmentalist that's ever lived. And she really works to make the planet a better place. She's 90 years old. She travels about 320 days a year. We just saw her speak in August in Los Angeles on her birthday. And she's so sharp. She's really funny. She's the most amazing human being that's ever walked the planet, as far as we're concerned.
I think we need to have her as a guest on the show.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, no, that would be amazing. You know who I also want to have as a guest on the show, but I think she's probably gone now, would be her mother. Because she goes, think about this. She goes home and she says, Mom, I get to go to Africa and I get to study chimpanzees, but they tell me I need a chaperone. So will you come along? It's like, wait a minute. You want me to go live in a tent with all these primates around and
no. And no civilization. There were guides that would come in and stuff and bring them food. But that was it. And the other thing about her mother that was amazing is Dr. Jane Goodall grew up during the war, rations for food and, chocolates, and then she'd save her money and buy a book every once in a while when she could. But she was in the outskirts of England. There was no rational thinking at the time that this young blonde, woman would make it to Africa. And her mother always told her, you can do it, but you have to work really hard to make it happen. And if her mother hadn't encouraged her, and to me, that was the greatest moment for us of the award ceremony with her, is she took a picture of her mother down from the shelf and she dedicated the award to her mother. And we lost our mother when we were very young, and our mother is the most important human being that we've ever had in our lives. And so for her to tie the award to her mother was just incredibly special. But yeah, her mother was an amazing woman.
Sure. Oh, she'd have to be. You want me to go to Africa where in a tent where there are snakes and spiders and all of this stuff? Not a prayer. Sorry, I ain't going.
Could you imagine me asking my mother to do such a thing? She was the high heels on the beach woman.
Yeah. Not understand. Our mother, on the other hand, would have jumped at the opportunity. Totally. If our mother had lived in another time, she would have been an archaeologist and out there digging in the dirt trying to find relics. Yeah,
she would have loved it.
what is so sad, and I hope that it changes in my lifetime, which is not going to be all that long, by the way, in the next 20 years or so, and that is that women are given the due that they deserve. Because think of the amount of brain power and the amount of courage and the amount of things that we've lost as a society because we don't value people the way we should.
Here's something to think about in that relation to that. Women used to not be able to get patents. So there are so many things that have been invented by women that are credited to men, because the only way the woman could get the patent was for it to be registered under her husband's name. So all the inventions got registered under the man's name, and because they were registered under the man's name, the money went to the men.
I got nothing to say to that, because that's
No.
I was going to even make a snide comment, but I'm not even going to go there because that's just terrible.
So there's just so much. There's so much that we learn every day. But
Now,
we're here to change that, and that's why we're excited about a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing this year, because the book is just scratching the surface of our plans for the year. So we've got
what else you got going on?
Got lots of things. You wanted to tell them about other stuff now?
Oh,
Yeah,
but let's take a break. We need to take a break real quick.
Take the break first. Yep.
And then we will be right back. And then we are going to talk more with Amy and Nancy, the Passionistas. We'll be right back.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm gonna do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. John Verico is here. And I got to ask John, have you ever worn short shorts?
Where's this going?
I'm an Italian.
I have no idea.
I'll just say I'm an Italian. And when I was younger and trimmer, I didn't wear short shorts, but I did wear a Speedo.
Well, that's as short as you can get.
Well, I never understood why somebody would wear a Speedo, because it kind of puts everything that you own out there for everybody to see. But that's a story for another time. We're talking to
And your point is?
I know. Why did you ask this question?
I have no point.
Where is this going, Kevin?
I thought maybe we were going into a commercial for Nair.
Well, and that's another one. The 25-year-old didn't know who Joe Namath was either. So that's, he wore pantyhose. Anyway, Amy and Nancy Harrington are with us, and tell us more. Tell us what else have you cooked up in your head to do in 25?
Well, the other big thing we're doing in 2025 is we're expanding our offerings to the women who are subscribed to the premium level on our sisterhood, because anyone can join and it's free, and you can have all the networking and all the wonderful experiences connecting with other women. But we have a premium level where we have workshops and courses and classes and things like that. And one of the spaces there is Passionistas TV. And currently it is replays of a lot of our interviews and our events. But in 2025, several of our Power Passionistas, who are the experts in our community, are going to be launching their own TV shows. So we are going to launch, I think we have at least 4 or 5 planned already, and we'll be expanding that through the year. So several of the women have been on your show with us. You may recall Dr. Melissa Bird. She will be doing a show with us. I actually think the three of us are going to do that show, and it's going to be called Words as Medicine with Missy. And if you recall Dr. Melissa Bird at all, you will recall that she's magical. So that's going to be an amazing show. We're going to have Thursday Thoughts with Dolly, we had Dolly on your show just fairly recently. She was the anti-bullying coach. So she's going to be doing her show. Yeah. We're going to have Kylie Stone, who has a show called The Uncharted Leader. And Julie DeLuca Collins is going to do her Casa de Confidence show. And Darla, I forget how to say Radilla, is going to be doing her show, You Have the Power, The Road to Recovery from Trauma and Narcissistic Abuse. So those are just a couple of the shows we have coming up, rolling them out through the year. And we're really, really excited about that.
Anything that you can do to bring these incredible women to light is just awesome. And you're doing a great job. And thank you for being willing to come on our little itty bitty teeny weeny show, that you are helpful. And we just enjoy you greatly. And you do a great job. Don't they, John?
Oh, they're fantastic, which is why I look forward to having them on every couple of weeks. And, you always bring such fabulous guests with you, but you yourselves are also wonderful guests. And every week or every time we get on, I learn more. And that's what this is all about. You guys are full of such wonderful energy. And I think you've noticed, I keep referring people to you. Yes, and I hope you've made some connections and got some new members. But yeah, there's some other folks out there. And matter of fact, just earlier today, I just met somebody else that I thought probably is in a symbiotic relationship with you, also doing similar things for women. And I thought, you guys need to talk to each other. Just thank you just for being you and for all the great things that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for the referrals. We have made some wonderful connections. So
yeah, and thank you guys seriously for being so supportive. I know we said it earlier. We do not have a problem with men. We love men, but you guys are the thing that keeps us having hope, that we have allies, that there are men who are supporting women and are listening and are open to learning, and we are happy to share the info if it helps. So.
My wife says I'm in touch with my feminine side, so
I just tell him not to touch it too often. He says that, and I just can't help myself. It's just one of those things.
You made yourself blush.
We're gonna have to get you a ladder to get up to the curb. Okay.
Well, there are some things my brain just works in a particular way, and sometimes I just can't help myself.
We're all about authenticity, Kevin.
That's what this show is. And like I've said many times, we never want this show to come across too polished.
No.
And we're becoming ever better at not being polished. It really works out well for us, and we're just so
before we run out of time,
yes,
Amy and Nancy, please tell folks how they can find information on the Passionistas Project and how they can become part of the sisterhood.
Absolutely. If you go to thepassionistasproject.com, you can find all of our links there. You can find a link directly to the sisterhood to join, find all our social media, and reach out to us in any way. Any one of those ways, we're always happy to talk to anyone who has questions or wants to get more information.
And say that one more time. Says somebody was taking a pencil and a piece of paper, and they didn't get it all down.
Or they had to pull over to the side of the road to write it down.
Right. Yeah. Where they started texting. thepassionistasproject.com.
And
you can find out all the things about that these two do. By the way, in case you were wondering and don't know, and you're listening on audio, they are incredible sisters, and they love each other to a great degree. And I wish that all of humanity could treat each other like you treat each other.
We're very, 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 very lucky.
Yes, we are.
And
you absolutely are.
And we know it. We do not take it for granted for a second.
Something, I feel very, 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 very lucky to have been part of Positive Talk Radio with Kevin, who's now introduced me to you two. And like I said, I love when you guys are on the show, and every day is a wonderful day that you're with us, and I feel so very, very lucky to have made your acquaintance.
Excellent.
We're really glad you're a part of it now. It's really fun talking to both of you every time we come on. So you're a nice addition.
No, I don't know.
Don't tell my boss.
I'm just, one of these days we'll tell the story of how John came to be on the show. But we're going to run out of time today, but I want you to get into, and Amy, it's your turn. How can somebody reach you?
Go to thepassionistasproject.com.
And join the sisterhood, because they mean it. They're out to change the world. And
join us for free. Join us for free. Get to meet people. We will introduce you right away to people who share your interests and your missions, and you'll instantly make new connections and friends and get more support.
That's the one thing that women seem to have that the men were struggling with, and that is you guys can form a connection to each other that men don't. We just don't get it yet. One of these days we'll evolve into it, but right now we just don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we can only aspire.
I think you can, but I think we're lucky that if we know we're in a safe place, then we know we can be vulnerable from the beginning. So,
yeah, that's really true. And but it's sad to say that to be in that safe place, it generally needs to be women around women, because we just don't get it yet. John gets it though.
I'm all about helping to make sure that this is a safe space for you and for your guests and for your sisters and for everybody else who wants to listen. They should come to Positive Talk Radio, because this is a safe place to be.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, you can go to John's house. John, what's your address?
It is safeplace.com. No.
I want to thank you, ladies, for being here. You've been listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Mr. John Verico, and we'll be back and then with another edition here in just a little while. So hang out, and we'll be back. And thank you, ladies. It's been great fun having you here.
Thank you so much for having us. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's kevin@kmmedia.pro. Boy, do they disappear in a hurry.
Well, you know what? We keep forgetting at the beginning to tell them that they should hang out after the end. But
yeah, so we can plan the next show.
So let me ask you a question.
I don't know if I have an answer, but go ahead.
Do you want me to be your permanent co-host, or do you want me to be a temporary part-time co-host?
What do you want?
I asked you first.
I asked you second. No, I'm serious, because well, first of all, this is an ever evolving relationship, because at first it was, no, I can't do it. And then it was, I'll do a few. And now it's like, I'll do them always. And I'll be there but that's not fair for me to ask you to commit to that. because we haven't even discussed it. I mean, I'm doing 8 shows or 7 shows or whatever it is because I need to for my sanity and all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate having you here, as my sister says, and Steven says you could do your own show if you wanted to. And so from that standpoint, of course I want you to be on the show. But do you want to do your own thing, or do you because we really haven't talked about that part.
I know.
So
well,
you tell me.
I've moved things around and getting to a point where, you know, I'm available to do as many shows as I can. And in the foreseeable future, it looks like I can do all the shows that are booked so far. As the blocks start to get filled up, and if it turns out that I can't do all 8, if we had 8 shows blocked a week and I can't do all 8, you'll know. Just like there'll be times you can't do a show.
Hasn't happened in
well, no, I mean, you know, like you're getting your teeth done, or I mean, there's going to be stuff.
Yeah. No, that's true. Now the other aspect of this is, and that we need to talk about that we haven't. How much time do we have? Oh, we got 20 minutes. Then we haven't talked about this is to do 8 shows a week, or to do it 4 days a week, because you're going to take. Oh, it's Brichelle. I'll talk to her after the next show. You say it's not fair for me to now. I do the shows and don't get paid for them, but I've got it set up to where I can make that work. But it's not really fair for me to expect you to be on all of these shows and then not get paid for it. And yet there's a limited amount of financing right now. She's not going to give up. So can we talk to her?
It might be important.
And hello, youngster. Hello, youngster.
Hello.
How are you? John and I are here.
Yes, you are still live on LinkedIn right now.
We are?
Yes, you are. You never hit end stream.
Oh, shit.